Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that drives all of us crazy. Why do we disagree so much? It really feels like we're living on different planets sometimes. But we're going to get into the real reason we just can't seem to see eye to eye.
Have you ever had that feeling? You're talking to someone, and it's like their entire brain is wired differently than yours. Their logic, their values, their whole take on the world, it just doesn't compute. It happens all the time, right?
But what if that little phrase, "we just don't click," is actually just an excuse? What if it's a kind of defense mechanism we use to push away people and ideas that challenge us or make us feel, a little uncomfortable?
It's so easy to do. We just draw a line in the sand and tell ourselves, nope, we're not compatible. But here's the thing. There's a huge flaw in that logic. We can't actually get away from them.
Just think about it. Politics, the office, even your own family Thanksgiving dinner. These different views are absolutely everywhere. Political parties might not like each other, but they can't just wish the other side away. They have to share the same country. And guess what? So do we. So if avoidance isn't really an option, what happens when we try to do it anyway? Well, it turns out that trying to dodge conflict doesn't just fail to solve the problem, it actually makes things worse.
It actually brings to mind this old Korean proverb, which is about getting hit by a stray arrow while you're trying to run away. And the wisdom there is just brilliant. The problems we try to run from, they don't just disappear. They tend to fester in the dark and find their way back to us, only now they're bigger and way harder to deal with.
Okay, so if trying to avoid each other is a trap, what's really going on here? This is where we get to the absolute heart of the matter. The friction we feel, it's not because we are fundamentally, irreversibly incompatible. The real issue is something else entirely, something we almost never stop to consider.
And here is the big twist. The myth we tell ourselves is that we're incompatible. We just don't fit. But the reality is we're just uninformed. We don't disagree because our personalities clash. We disagree because we are completely ignorant of the world the other person is living in.
This all leads to something we can call informational prejudice. Think about it. It's what happens when you're on a really one-sided diet of information. When we only read things, watch things, and talk to people who already agree with us, we basically build our own little echo chamber. And from inside that chamber, anyone on the outside just sounds, wrong.
So what do these different information worlds really look like? Let's get practical. Let's look at a couple of examples of how two people can be staring at the exact same thing and see two completely different realities.
Okay, so take religion. For someone coming from a deeply Christian worldview, where the Bible's the core text, seeing someone bow to a statue of Buddha, that might look like idolatry. But that person is missing the Buddhist context. Ideas like karma, reincarnation, where that exact same action is simply a gesture of respect. You see, it's not about who's right, it's that they're running on completely different operating systems.
Or let's take another one. Someone with a strictly materialist worldview. The kind based in science that says only what we can touch and measure is real. That person is probably going to dismiss things like shamans or spirits as just superstition. They literally can't process it, and that leads to this intense frustration. Why are these people being logical? Well, it's because they're using a completely different framework, a spiritual one, to understand the world.
And this right here is the crucial point. No single system of thought, not religion, not science, not philosophy, not a single one can explain everything. Each one seems perfect when you're inside its little bubble, but the second you step outside, you see its limits. No one logic can possibly contain the whole, messy, beautiful, complicated human experience.
So, what do we do? If every worldview is incomplete, how do we ever bridge these gaps? Well, the solution isn't about winning an argument. It's about adopting a whole new mindset. It really boils down to 3 steps. First, and this is the hardest one, you have to acknowledge that your own view isn't perfect. It has blind spots. Second, you reframe the problem. The other person isn't incompatible, their world is just unfamiliar to you. And that leads to the third step. Change your goal. Stop listening to argue back and start listening with genuine curiosity, just to learn. I absolutely love this analogy. Just picture it. Listen
as if you're a traveler, an explorer, and the other person is describing their home planet, a world you've never even heard of. You wouldn't argue with them, would you? No, that's not how gravity works on your planet. Of course not. You'd be fascinated. You'd ask a million questions. You just want to understand the rules of their world. That's the mindset.
So that's really the choice it leaves us with. The next time you get that friction, that we just don't click feeling, ask yourself this. Are you looking at an opponent you need to defeat, or are you looking at an undiscovered world that's just waiting to be explored?